doing? Morning, everybody. How you doing? One of these days, I'm gonna get it right. I got the bit of getting us scheduled and all that type jazz, and that got better. And one of these days, I'm gonna get all these particulars and specifics right. Love the camera, much better view. Um, it is the 15th of March. Man, where the hell does time go? And why are things not going my way? Remember that time when we were sitting and talking about ups and how things just go up and they seem so nice and you're floating away and everything is lovely. The downs come too. And today, so like last week, I'm sitting here. Last week, everything crashed. I'm just like, yo, what the hell? So I switched over to the phone, got that going, and we were fine. But today, I'm freaking around in Facebook trying to make sure that everything is posted, the link is up, all that jazz, and Facebook crashes. I'm like, I don't. It just I plugged the laptop into the router, so hopefully we don't have the signal issues like we've had in the past. And it's one of them things, man. I mean, what you gonna do? We're here, we're alive, we're pushing through. I talked to my son yesterday, the oldest. He works for the federal government. Was getting at him just to make sure he was okay, and he's all right. He's like, "Yo, I'm gonna ride through it and see how long it takes or how long I can go." He'll be over his 10 years next year, so hopefully he can do that. And some good thing about working for the federal government for 10 years or more, if you have student financial debt, which he has, they pay for it. It's paid off. It's forgiven. So that's what's, as you can see, Aggie Pride today. I support all HBCUs. No, I did not go to a HBCU. I went to a privately owned Black college, and we didn't have cool gear. What you want to do? It was a small school. One, two, three, four campuses, but it was very impactful in the community, and I miss it. I miss it not because of the college experience type situation. I miss it because it was a very good resource for the community. It was really geared toward the working adult. So people were able to get in, get what they needed, and then moved on. And it was really geared toward the working adult. It was really geared toward the folk whom made it to X point in their career and were constantly being told that in order for you to get to the next level, you need to go to school. You need to get this piece of paper. So it was really geared toward them. It was only in the evening. There were no day classes whatsoever, except for the weekends. And there were Saturday classes. I can't remember if there was a Sunday class or not. I know I was there plenty of Saturdays, though, dog. Oh, my God, I was there plenty. I was trying to get out. You know what I'm saying? I was in that mug to get through it, and I worked to it to get through it. But I support all HBCUs. I decided to do something different. Normally, I come in with the shirt and all that jazz, and it's like, I'm not opposed to that, but I wanted to switch it up, get some feedback, see how people feel. I did a little hat situation like Brother Barry does during his show. Brother Barry be killing them with them hats too. I promise you, that brother be killing with them hats in the show in the morning. So it's like, I think I'm gonna do this. I had the helmet hat on last week. I have this one on this week. I'm gonna switch it up. I have a gazoodle of hats. I know that's not a word, but I'm making it up as I go along. I have a boatload of hats, so I plan on switching it up and just representing the things that I care about. You know what I'm saying? The issues that I care about, because some of them have issues, and then some of them are just funny. I have a couple of cartoon hats. I have a Star Wars hat. So we'll see. We'll see. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I don't know how I feel about it. I didn't shave either this morning. I did that on purpose as well. Normally I come in with the clean face, the shaved head, and looking all Joe's go smooth and all that jazz. And today I just didn't. I didn't feel that way today. Yes. Rodney said, I don't know why people are messing with me. I don't know why people can't see me. I'm on the stage. I don't know what's going on there. Give me a second. Let me find out what's going on with my peoples. Let me find out what's going on with my peoples, because we are 100% live and I'm definitely in it. So I don't know what that's about. I don't see you, Rodney. You said you're in an area, but I don't see you. Let's send that out again. Let's see what happens there. and we'll see what happens because this is where I is and this is where I am. Anyhow, I didn't think Rodney was going to be up. He just went to sleep not too daggone long ago, so I did not look for him at all. But we'll see. Anyhow, the peoples are coming, and we'll take it from there. But I was continuing on. So I was like, well, I wanted to try something different. I don't know if I want to. Um, I don't know if I want to shave it down a little bit, trim it up a little bit. See, there you go. There you go with the hat. I was just talking about how you killing it with the hat game first thing in the morning, brother Barry. I was telling about so I had to bring my hat game up a little bit. I had to step it up and get on your level. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I don't know if I want to shave it down, trim it up. I don't know yet. So I kind of left it this morning just to see what I saw and how I felt about it. But yeah, I was little grimy. Just not because I was running behind. I had plenty of time. I've been up for a good minute. I had to run out this morning and get me some frosted flakes. Yo, frosted flakes don't taste the same. I'm sitting here eating them frosted flakes, and I was not enthused. I really wasn't. But I did it anyhow, and I had to get something in the gut, I guess. And well, Rodney, I didn't think you were going to be up morning, brother. I know you went to sleep not so long ago, so I did not figure you in at all. I told Thomas this morning that you weren't going to be on, but it's always lovely to have you. Um, but yeah, I decided to roll a little differently. I didn't do the clean shave this morning. I'm not rocking the collar shirt like I normally do this morning. I wanted to do something a little bit different and see what came out of that. But I keep saying, and my apologies. My pen has been nasty here lately, Thomas. I don't know what has gotten into me, but I've been writing a whole lot here lately. I'm on a good little spurt, and I got like two ideas running through my mind right now. So as soon as we're done with the show, I'm gonna go ahead and bang those out. Now I'm old school. Now, Thomas, I know you and I share the love of the mic.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I'm very much into pen to paper still. Now I'll do pen to paper first, and then I'll transpose it to the laptop or the phone or whatever like that. But I'm just more intimate with the pen to the paper. I don't know. I don't know why. It just works better for me. I was at Papados the other day, and I'm standing up waiting on a table or even a spot at the bar and whatnot. And I just got inspired in that moment, and I banged out like two pieces just right there, just boom, 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 while
Oh,
waiting
man.
for it on spot. Yeah, waiting for a spot at the bar. Man, I'm flowing right now, and I haven't flowed like this in a minute. It feels good. It really does feel good. I miss it. So now I want to find a spot where I can go and perform and let some stuff out because it's been a minute. What you shaking your head no for, Rodney? I'm good, man. I'm
They
good, man.
they have the Apache Cafe inside of Georgia, I believe, in Atlanta. I went
Okay.
there the last time I was in the city of Atlanta. A good friend of mine who lived there, my brother Kerry, who we call Black Jesus.
Okay.
He decided to, take me through there, and it was pretty smooth. The Dungeon family at that time was hanging out through there, so you would see a lot of the artists. And as a matter of fact, it was during this time now because March Madness was happening. So
Okay.
fast
Okay.
forwarded, it was during the NCAA tournaments because we were taking the children to Disney World, and so we stopped off in Atlanta to see my ex's father who lived in Atlanta. That was my children's first time being able to meet their grandfather,
Okay.
and so we stopped off there, and so I hung out with my boy. And I tell you, that's a good cafe if you just want to try something out. It's funny you saying this. Last night I was on the phone with a sister of mine who I've been working with the Fight for Child Protection Services, Declare, and she was like, "Yeah, so I know you've told me that you've done music. You didn't know I spit." And I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah." And she went through a hellacious time. They took her child in the system, and it almost killed her.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so when you see her demeanor, you wouldn't believe that she could spit and write. But she spit some stuff for me last night. And I told her, I said, "Sister, you need to share this every time you tell your story." Because I said, if I looked at your stature and your demeanor, I wouldn't have thought that was in you, A.
Right.
And B, you're telling your story. And you're
Okay.
talking about what you felt like and how you felt like God powered you through it, hey, this will make people, because they won't see it coming from you. Like they
Right.
wouldn't see it coming from her. If
Right.
you see her, because of her condition, she can't even raise her voice.
Oh
But when
wow.
you listen to the words of what she was saying, it was like, oh my God, you was a spitter. So yeah, Lee. So hey, whatever inspires that pen, brother, let it go.
Man, look, I'm on it, dog. It is it is crazy. But the love and just reunited a fire in me. You know what I'm saying? Did I share? No, I don't think I did. I want to give a shout out. You said a sister that uh, sparked you to think something different. So I believe after the show last week Saturday, I went out to eat, and the restaurant was truly understaffed. Did I share this last week? I don't think I did, because I really want to say it was last week Saturday. Black owned restaurant, not too far from the crib, so I wanted to support them. And I want to tell you all that that was some of the best service I've ever had in my life. And they were truly understaffed. They had
Mm,
one cook that just walked out in the middle of the shift. The dishwasher dude was late. Two of the servers didn't show up, so they were down to one server. The bartender didn't show up. So the dude that was there, supposedly just the DJ and bartend. The owner was in the kitchen, and
mhm.
they had one wait person there, and she ripped it. I gave her a very generous tip because she did so freaking good, so freaking good. I mean, she kept me informed of what was going on. She made sure that she checked in periodically to give me whatever she could give me as the night went out. As I sat and waited for the food to come, it was just so on point. And I say that to say, oftentimes we talk about how badly we experience one another in business. This was an opportunity for me to stick it through with someone that I didn't even know. Didn't
Mm.
know Adam or Eve. Very first time I ever walked in that daggone establishment. I walked in, I was so happy I did. And on top of that, the collard greens was hitting. The collard greens was hitting. And that cornbread, Rodney. It wasn't a jiffy kind, Rodney. It was more like you like it. Rodney always get on me. He said, "You like that jiffy stuff? I like mine sweet." This wasn't really sweet, right? This had a hint of sweetness to it, but I think you would have really enjoyed this. It was hitting. The chicken was perfect. It was very flaky, very seasoned, great, crispy. It was hot. Yeah, I didn't like the fries. I didn't like the fries. They do them shoestring fries. I don't like them shoestring fries. I like the thicker cut fries. But other than that, it was a hit. It was a 9.3 out of 10 without a doubt. Definitely go. Matter of fact, I'll probably go back today just to give them some support again today.
All right on.
Forward to being with Rashi this week coming. I get there early Monday. Yeah. So I'm looking to take her out to dinner Monday night, and then
You
I'll be
getting you getting where, Lee?
Kansas. I'm going to Kansas.
Any
Yeah.
occasion?
Yeah, work. I'm out there all week, so I'm gonna go scoop Rashi up, take her to dinner at least, have some face to face with her. Says you good, bye 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 boom, and then from there, um, I'll take a little weekend hop, and then from there I'll be back here. So
That's what's up.
yeah, man, yeah. So I earned this one too because I put some money. This is the residuals from the trip, Rodney, when I was supposed to come in January. So the training is happening now, and I threw some money in that pot in order to make it out to Rodney last go around. And when that fell apart, I was like, yeah, I'm getting my money. I'm like Denzel. I'm from around the way. I'm leaving here with something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, leave here with something. So it just worked out to where the weekend hop, it only cost me like $10. You know what I mean? After all was
That's
said and
sweet.
done. Yeah, that was really sweet. So it worked out really well.
That's
But
dope.
uh yeah, man. you all didn't catch this, but I was talking about the ups and downs of life and how we were talking not too long ago about how things are going well and things are moving along. Well, God dang it, them bumps came this week. I promise you, man. I had a good week going on until about Thursday. I got hit real heavy on Thursday. Still had to deal with some of that stuff on Friday, but God willing, the creek don't rise. Those stormy days are behind us, and we can continue on the path that we're supposed to be on and keep this thing moving. Trying to get on here today. It was a freaking mess. I didn't realize I had two different daggone accounts. I have one under the show's name and then the other one under my name. I thought it was a mess. It was a mess, but worked it out. Got it going. Blah, 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 blah. Like I said, as we were coming into the show, the Facebook crashed on me as I was trying to log on here. And I was like, God dang, dog. You know what I mean? But
one thing is always another, right?
You know what I'm saying? If it ain't one thing, it's a mofo another, man. It's a mofo another. But you thank God for the good times. You got to remember that the bad times strengthen you for the good times. So that's what's up. You know what I mean? You got to think of it both. So I'm cool on that. Really wanted to talk about Sister Robinson this week because that was very interesting to me. Wanted to talk about obviously the CR that was put forward and the caving in of the Democrats on that. I was looking at some of the numbers from the last time we had a governmental shutdown, and those were some big numbers. The economy took a huge hit. Folks took a very long time to recover from that.
Mm-hmm.
With Doge breathing down the back of others, I don't know. I don't know about this one. I don't want to give the Democrats that big of a pass. We'll talk about it when we get to it, though. Also, the thing that really hit me this week out of all of this, to be totally honest with you, I feel betrayed. I feel Pearl Harbored. I feel sabotaged. I feel disrespected. I feel dejected. I feel Paul because Southwest is about to start charging for bags. This is ridiculous. I never thought I would see the day that Southwest charged for bags. I already knew they were baking the damn bag fee in the ticket price because if you notice, Southwest's ticket fares just kept going up and up and up and up. And other people have pretty much been steady. Some of them even gone down. Southwest, you used to be able to fly in 3 different corridors. You could fly from the East Coast pretty much to the Midwest for like a maximum of $69. If you went beyond the Midwest, it was like a maximum of $89, $99. If you went to the West Coast, that was going to cost you. It was going to cost you $100 something bucks. Okay, cool. Man, you can fly Southwest now on the freaking East Coast, and it costs you like $500 round trip. That crap is crazy. Yo, I can't see it. I don't see it. I know they're going to introduce another fare, basically supposed to be a bare bones fare, whatever, what have you. But I just don't see it. I don't see how they're going to be able to compete with other airlines that offer the same exact thing, but their fares are cheaper. I don't see how they're going to win. They took away the open seating. They're changing the credits. So if you have a credit, now you have to use it within a year or less, depending on what type of credit it is. You know what I'm saying? So pretty much they've taken themselves on the same level as everybody else. What's the difference in them now versus anybody else? Brother Barry, you travel a little more than Ronnie does right about now. Does that look any different to you than anybody else?
Well, if I travel more than Rodney don't travel.
He don't go nowhere. He's driving all.
That's I was talking to my lady friend last night. That's what we talked. I'm like, I don't go nowhere. But I will tell you, in the words of The Color Purple, one of the songs on there, God is trying to tell you something. And I don't think that it's an accident that they raised the fares. I think under this administration, traveling is going to be something only that the wealthy can do. And so that's why the prices are going up. And so people have to prepare for that, because this is what happens when you have oligarchs in charge. The CEO for Southwest is going to try to make a run and get as much money as possible. Always keep in mind that these stocks are always intertwined with each other because all of the CEOs sits on each other's boards. They're taking hits in other places, so they got to raise it in other spots as well. So that's why you're seeing them going up on the baggage and then also the rates, right? Now I live in Minnesota, which our original airline for us was Northwest.
Okay.
And so Northwest sold out to Southwest, and we ain't seen no deals traveling from Minnesota to the southwest part of the country at all. And so, you know, I live here. I can't even tell you I can get a cheap flight from here to Dallas, or from here to New Mexico, or here to Vegas. If I do, it's on Spirit, and it's
Wow.
not on Southwest. So
Wow.
we haven't gotten that discount since they bought us out, and I think that was based off of, once again, blaming the unions, because you got to pay the pilots and you got to pay the stewardess and you got to pay the mechanics.
Right.
And the main issue, Lee, is, as always, and Rodney, it's the CEOs.
Yep.
Americans, the original tariff before we had the Joker in chief was the CEOs and their payout packages and how much money they need in stock. And so I think that's why you see that when it comes to flying.
Okay. Yeah, again, man, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, to your point, why fly you when I can fly a Spirit and get the exact same experience? It's the exact same experience.
Exactly.
Nothing's different except for it's cheaper for me to fly Spirit. So if I'm a penny pinching consumer,
Right.
I'm going to go with whomever's cheaper. Now there are times and situations where I'm looking for cheaper and better, but that's really a crunch type situation, a crunch, I should say, type situation where I need to get somewhere desperately. I know I need to get there on time. So the most reliable airline to get me there on time and at the lowest possible price, factoring that in, may be you all. But heck, man, for most people, I don't see it. I really think this is going to be a windfall for Spirit and Frontier. And I think, and if you've noted, Frontier has really expanded its map over the past couple of weeks, and Spirit has added some flights as well. Now, hell, at one point I was looking for Southwest to buy somebody. Now I'm starting to think Southwest may be bought, to be honest with you. Like, because they really did. They put themselves in the mud with these other jokers, and they come into that game late where these other ultra low carriers are playing like, nah, dog, you can't compete. We've already established our space. We already established our name. And if you're offering the exact same, why would somebody rock with you versus us? You know, they've expanded some ticket options where they've allowed their tickets now to be displayed on Expedia. So you can buy Southwest tickets on Expedia now. That's something totally new for the company. They've never done that before. They've been very strategic about only allowing people to buy tickets for Southwest through Southwest's website. It's sort of like what Walmart does, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go to Walmart, not saying that we do, but I'm just saying, if you go to Walmart, Walmart does not allow you to tap and pay. Does anyone know why Walmart doesn't allow you to tap and pay? Because they're working on their own payment system, and they don't want anyone else's to take over theirs. And when they allow you to tap and pay, you're going to have to use either the Walmart app or their payment system, be it their credit card or some crap like that. That's the only thing they're going to allow it to do for tap and pay.
Well, it also allows them to keep the cheaper prices.
Absolutely.
Because
and it allows them to track your buying trends.
I mean, that's true, but you got to also look at the processing fee. I think we take credit cards and all of this stuff as a convenience, but we don't look at the processing fees. You know, it's akin to why food stamps was better than EBT. Food stamps was better for the economy than EBT and electronic pay, because electronic pay, all it does is it helps the banks get more money. Food stamps actually help the grocers. It helped the people who worked in the grocery stores, because they would get, for every dollar that they spend in food stamps, they would get $1.60 in return. But that extra 60 cents, that was your baggage kid. Now you don't have baggage kids in most of the stores. You know why? Because they don't have that extra 60 cents, but they're paying that 35 cents to 75 cents, and which goes in your grocery bill for the electronic processing. So we got all this technology But part of the thing with the technology when it comes in the stores, no one is telling you exactly why you're paying a little bit more at the stores, and that just increased the rates. So I could see Walmart's thing, and I could also see with Southwest, but then I know that Spirit was somebody was recently trying to buy out Spirit. And
Frontier.
so these airlines, in my opinion, just like everything else in this country, the oligarchs are trying to form what we would consider, a monopoly. And so pretty soon you're only going to have maybe 2 or 3 airlines that people are going to be able to fly. And so it's all par for the course because Lee and Rodney, what you have to do is you have to almost make it attractable for those people who may want to buy your company. So do you got to raise the prices on your consumers? Do you got to cut some of the fat as far as some of your employees? What's your debt to income ratio, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Those are the things that we start seeing companies move in certain ways. It's just set so that they can make it more attractable for whoever may want to purchase the company out. And so, yeah, Lee, Southwest may not make it, but that might be the intended goal. Like their goal may be, hey, I'm getting to the finish line because I got a CEO saying, hey, this thing ain't gonna go belly up and I ain't getting my money. I'm gonna sell this joker quick. I'm gonna take my $285 million payoff package in stock and other incentives, and I'll see you all later.
Right. Right. And that I think you spoke on that a couple weeks ago. Like we as a country need to go back to not allowing CEOs to make that much money. Like they should not be afforded the opportunity to do things like this that does nothing more than hurt the average American consumer. It does not. That's all it does. Because all they're concerned with is driving up that stock price. So they will do that by job cuts. They will do that by shipping services overseas. They will do that by any means necessary in order to keep that stock price up. So, like you said, when either they decide to quit or the board decides to remove them, they
Right.
catch that golden parachute, and that stock price is high. They cash out all those daggone chips and they keep it pushing until they get the next job on the next board and move up to the CEO of that next company and do it all over again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's nothing but it's not rape and pillaging, but it's dang sure close.
No,
It's
it
dang
is. No, it is because what you have to think about it. If you think about a lot of pilots are making anywhere between 40 to 60 grand. And if you think about being in that type of line of work where you got other people's lives in your hand on a day-to-day basis, you would think that they would pay them well, they would have better health care. You think that they would have other packages, definitely mental health, because it's a stressful job. It puts stress on the body and the mind.
Mhm.
However, we haven't taken care of the pilots quite well. And that's something that we don't talk about. The stewardess is a little bit different. Stewardess, they make a decent amount of money, but I think a lot of them like the benefits. A lot of them are almost like bottle service girls, if you will, and especially the younger ones. And they've taken advantage of the fact of being stewardess. You take that with OnlyFans and Instagram and you mix it in, you can make way more money as a stewardess than you can as a pilot. And we don't talk about that because sex sells, and it's a part of the sexy waitress type persona for a lot of young stewardess. So people like the travel benefits. They don't have to work full time, but that pilot, man, that pilot is the one that's really, he's getting worked overtime for the position. Oh, he called them flight attendants. Yeah, I'm still calling them stewardess. Listen, I was born in the 70s, and I ain't changing because everybody else is changing. Let's call them what it is. We'll find out soon that everything's going to revert back anyway, so we might as well keep the same lingo.
Did you of which, did you see the subcommittee meeting in which Representative Sarah McBride was called Mr. McBride by the chairperson of during the hearing? So
Yeah, I heard.
Sarah,
I saw that.
yeah, so Sarah McBride is the transgender person, first transgender woman elected to Congress. And during a subcommittee hearing, the chairperson of the subcommittee referred to Representative McBride as Mr. McBride, to which another member of the subcommittee took exception, got into it with the chairperson of the subcommittee meeting, and the chairperson reasserted his opinion of the representative, and they went back and forth at it again, and then eventually the subcommittee ended. The meeting ended. It was called to closure by the chairperson.
So this is why I know the Democrats don't pay attention to nothing. You know, this now we hopping into the brass tacks of what today should be about.
Yep.
Algorithms.
Yep.
Democrats don't know that was a setup.
Yep.
That should have just went over, because the American people, that's what they're upset about. And if you don't know why you didn't get voted for, this is the reason why. And I got a chance earlier this week, to watch a video with Mark Lamont Hill. He had this transgender guy on, or transgender woman on, I'm sorry. See, I just did it myself. But it's all about your own particular value set as a individual. However, this transgender woman was on and was stating that they, and that's how they refer to themselves, as they and them, not I, they do not believe that sports and all of these other things that the Democrats are focusing on is important to them. They believe that you should be talking about housing and healthcare and the economy. That's the focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say getting back and forth about disrespecting and calling this person a they, or not saying that's a she or not that. Listen, people got their own value set. And as much as people talk about how liberal the left is, the left is a lot like the right when they like to force people into the same value system. You can't get upset with people who have religious values and beliefs where they're not going to call a girl a guy, no matter how much surgery that person has. And in my opinion, I don't believe that the representative had to say Mr. McBride. Could have just said Rep McBride and still kept dignity, still kept respect for the rep, and that's just all it needed to be. However, we live in a world where people don't know how to show that respect, and so that's how we get there. But I think, in my opinion, the Democrats should have let that go, because it's another reinforcement to see. This is why y'all voted for Donald. You see how crazy these people are?
Yeah. Yeah. And how obsessed they are about things that don't matter to the majority of us. How disconnected they are to the issue. I'm sorry, the issues that most of us are battling with it over, in, and with, and for. Because no matter how you identify yourself, you still require food, clothing, and shelter, regardless of how you identify yourself.
Rodney, you broke down the pilot's average wage, and I would tell you that that's probably some conjecture in there. They're not. That's why they were on their suicidal tangent a little bit ago, because they weren't making that type of money, and they haven't been for quite some time. But I mean, hey, if it's on Wikipedia, it's real. But I just know here the pilots were really complaining about their pay, and some of them even saying that they have to be on welfare to cover some of the things that they don't have.
I thank you for bringing that up. I was going to bring that back into the conversation, but yeah, I was curious about that too. When you said that number, it seemed low to me as well. But it may be a regional jet thing versus a larger carrier. Who knows?
Could be.
Absolutely. But we were talking about the transgender representative, and you said Mark Lamar Hill. You said.
So Mark Lamont Hill, who's been doing some great podcasting. Me and Mark Lamont Hill have had a back and forth on social media a lot. These black personalities, Mark Lamont Hill, Jamil Hill, and others, we have personally and publicly gone at it online and back and forth. My critique of Mark Lamont Hill was based off of his critique of Frances Cress Welsing when she passed away, and we had some back and forth on his take, because he wrote a piece on her after she died. Which I thought was cowardice. But with that being said, he's done some great podcasting lately. And I like the idea. I think we've had this conversation before where I told you guys, that most of the LGBTQ folk who we consider would be a part of the organization, or just these people who represent these letters, are not lock in step with the organization. And I think that what this trans woman that was on Mark Lamont's uh, podcast was stating was that, hey, there's bigger issues at play than what we allow the Republicans to drag us down into. This bathroom thing, this reading of books thing. Like, who's really advocating for this? Like, yo, these are predators, these are deviants who want to show up and do this, because you don't get the average adult male or woman who is signing up to go read the kids. So why would you all of a sudden want to have a sex change and then you want to go down and do it, right? Like, that's kind of like red meat, if you will. And I feel like that's the problem with the country. We're always caught up in those things that we feel like is disrespect. And then when we really get disrespected, we don't know what disrespect is. Cutting Medicaid and Medicare. Oh, that's disrespect.
That's right. Yeah.
Cutting that Social Security, knowing that you don't put your money into it. Oh, that's disrespect. Taking away your liberties. Oh, that's disrespect. But Mr. McBride, Miss McBride, in a world where you're dealing with men who were born in the early 70s, late 60s, the 50s, listen, some of us, self-included, we haven't caught up to the rest of you yet. And I know that you worldly folks want us all to be worldly, but I'm going to be honest with you. Cisgender, transgender, misgender, I don't know what the F y'all be talking about. I'm just trying to, sometimes I just have to use interpretation skills so that I don't seem off base. But we don't know, and it's not a part of our survival. So we're not inclined to learn.
Right.
And it's no disrespect. By the way, that's no disrespect to anyone who finds themselves in that position, because the one thing that you have to always understand is, if you're looking to be offended, you will be offended. If you're looking to be offended.
Gotcha. I've not caught up to that cisgender either. I'm like, I don't get it. Like,
But they were calling me a sissy.
Yeah, same exactly. Like, what? Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I don't get it. But maybe I'm old and I'm okay with that, because hopefully you'll live to this age and beyond, and hopefully I'll live a couple more years. Well, not a couple, as far as a couple, but a little longer. My daggone self, in order to enjoy some more of what God has graced me with thus far. Moving on. Some more. Okay, sticking on the social stuff before we get to the real meat of it. So, if you don't know who Don Robinson is a former member, I guess, of In Vogue, the group In Vogue. Now, there was, I want to say, I saw it Monday. There was a drop by the group In Vogue, and the three members were singing. Then they showed a fourth, and the fourth was Maxine. Maxine is back in the fold.
Mm-hmm.
First off, always had a crush on Maxine. She was fine with the pretty eyes. I'm just saying, it is what it is. It not funny, but it's curious to me how just a couple of days later, Don Robinson gets on social media and reveals to the world that she's been living in her car for the past 3 years. She's basically homeless. Well, she is homeless. She's been living in her car for the past 3 years. She was living with her parents during the pandemic, she says, in 2020. She then left because one of her co-managers offered to allow her to stay with him. She went there. She found out there was really no room. He then said that he would put her up in a hotel. This was supposed to be a short-term deal. It turned into a longer-term deal of her being in the hotel. She was there for 8-9 months. and she finally left. She was doing some research and seeing people whom had adopted the car life, and she decided to go and live in her car. She was out there in Vegas, Rodney, and she's been living in said car since March 9th. I think that's what my notes say. Yep, March 9th of 2022. And so, Dawn, it has been said that she was the reason for a lot of the turmoil within Vogue. It is said that she was the reason for the reason that Lucy Pearl only made one album.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know because I wasn't there, but a lot of people saying a lot of things tend to lead me to believe that she may have been the problem.
Hmm.
Now, if you remember, and I do not remember the name of the damn show, but she was on a reality show. I did not do my research on that. See, I had all my research down on everything else. I didn't have to look, but I forgot to do my research on what reality show she was. She was dealing with some guy, some white dude. She was all in love with him, and blah. This was around the time right after Lucy Pearl broke up. This was right around that time, and I thought because I hadn't seen her in forever that they had got married, had a life, and she was good to go. This was totally shocking to me to see her coming up and coming out saying that she was homeless. Then here she goes getting a job offer from her ex-husband, black dude, to work and his what is he on, Brother Bear? Hotel?
He said a hospitality establishment.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have been offered a job as a brothel, but I don't know.
Well, she said no.
I don't blame him.
What you say?
I don't blame him.
So Thomas calls me and Thomas said, bro, I just talked to my ex-wife and I told her if she ever offered me a job like that, you can keep that shit.
Hey, man.
Man, look, you got to get your start somewhere. I mean, hell, if you had to buy.
No, if somebody's homeless, I think we talked about this last week, and I keep bringing it up because it was just phenomenal to watch. That video that I saw a couple of weeks ago with this woman in Africa that was homeless, and the compassion that everybody had for her in the chat and offering her a place to stay, and very being critical of the brothers who threw her out on the street when she had to go to sleep, and people were just asking, how can they help? How could they help? How can they help? And I feel like in America we're a little too cynical when it comes to us. And so I don't want to criticize Dawn for being homeless, because homelessness is a real problem in America.
Correct.
And people have mental health issues, and Dawn could be suffering, even though she's beautiful and can sing. She could be a manic bipolar person who's never really got diagnosed. And in an industry where they take advantage of your mental health, they could have broken that sister. So I don't want to call her out on that. And by the way, it was R&B Divas of Los Angeles. That was the show that she was on. I just looked it up while you talk. I didn't watch it. I'm not a reality TV fan unless it's sports, news, and sports again. But anyway, but I will say Earl Stevens, better known as E40, DM'd her and said, hey, check your inbox. I got you.
I got something for you.
That's how we're supposed to respond.
Absolutely.
And the reason why we should respond that way and not the way of JD and others, because when we critique our own for not having, but then we brag about frivolous spending on watches and cars and putting, women in plastic surgeries. I'm not even thinking about, all of the other stuff, but you would give somebody who was sound body, sound mind, you would pay for them to get plastic surgery. But to hear someone say that they're homeless, and mind you, whatever her situation may be, she still can sing. And if you are in the music industry, you're going to always need somebody to do some background singing. You're going to always need somebody to carry a note. And by the way, I'm pretty sure you got assets. Now, Jermaine Dupri said broke people like me shouldn't say anything. So this is what I would say to JD. I think that sometimes the entertainers kind of forget that we remember you bragging about so much and all the cash that you show us. And the difference between black entertainers and white entertainers is white folks don't really allow their trash to be seen on the front yard. And we don't get that. We don't really understand that. and we'll still go out and we'll brag about the dinner that we ate, $30,000 meal. Well, if we know someone that's homeless and we've had encounters and we've made money with these people, right? And I'm pretty sure Earl Stevens, E40, I have yet to remember a record with E40 and In Vogue or Dawn. But the idea that a brother will step up as a man should, I can salute that. The problem that I have with us collectively is we don't step up. We watch people suffer and then the critique. And that's what I took from the video with the East African situation, because I was like, yo, they didn't go hard on her. It wasn't like how we are in America. Anytime somebody has a deficit or something, we're always trying to figure out what did that person do wrong. And to me, that doesn't fix the problem. To examine what someone did wrong, if you're bleeding on the pavement, I should ask, what did you eat for dinner today? Because if your life is fleeing, I should be trying to stop the bleeding. And then after I stop the bleeding,
shoot you.
Right. I mean, it's crazy much like that. Like, hey, don't go out there and help that person because you don't know why they got shot. Let them bleed out. And that may be, if you're under duress and on fire, I can get it. But if you're not, going out there and try to help that person. But with that being said, I often look at how we're so critical of one another. And we're so critical of one another until we see somebody white of the same stature, and then we start feeling sorry for them. And then we start offering help. And if we don't offer help, we still offer compassion. But what we don't do for each other is we don't, that compassion piece. And when I see a millionaire, a man who made multi-million dollars off producing people just like Dawn, say what I heard JD said, and I was like, well, you just said R&B was dead. Here's one of the legacy artists of R&B. And if she is saying she's going through this crisis, right, and she doesn't have the capital, and In Vogue still can sing, like here's the cold part. She may have a messed up personality, but can she work though? Can you put her in a studio, have her sing on a track, and allow her to get paid $10,000 a session, get some residuals or a point on the album for singing? Can she do that? And if she can, that's all that matters. But to me, fellas, this is where I understand a lot of why the sisters be upset. If brothers can't sleep with these sisters, they discard them. If I can't get in your pants, I ain't got no use for you. And that's what a lot of the predatory ways of not just the industry, but a lot, and I'm not saying all brothers, let me correct that. Not all brothers, but a lot of the brothers who are in these positions that could look out for people, if it doesn't serve them, whether it's the ego or the penis, then they just discard the sisters totally. And we got to learn not to do that. I can despise you, but I don't want to see you homeless.
There you go. Rodney, are you familiar with the sister and her music?
Yeah, he's familiar with In Vogue. Rodney, he's a man out there in Vegas. He know about In Vogue. He probably saw him in the 90s.
Yeah, I know about In Vogue, but the stuff that you guys are talking about, that's not actually on my scope. I just listen to good music.
Okay. That's what's up. Okay.
Good music. That's it. Good music. Good voices. And I think that they were doing, if I'm not wrong, Rodney, at one point they were doing like a residency out there in Vegas too, right?
Yeah. Actually, I thought they were doing fine. I didn't even know they had these background issues that you guys have brought up this morning.
Oh yeah, Maxine been gone from the group for a minute. She rolled out not too long after Dawn rolled out.
Yeah, because I did go see them. I forgot when and where, but yeah, I did. One of the few groups I've actually gone to see.
So another thing too, y'all, is that's the problem also for young people that want to be entertainers out there when you don't write your own music. Because when you don't write your own music and all you're doing is performances, you don't really get the residuals from the songs that you're bringing to life. And so while we're saying, hold on, we know that that's their song. If it was Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis or Babyface and L.A. Reid that wrote the record,
correct,
you have no residuals. Look at TLC. The whole point about TLC, why they talk about the money they didn't get, it's like, no, if you don't have a hand in the production or the writing of the album, you may not be able to reap the benefits and the rewards. And I'll tell y'all an ugly trend that's happening right now in music, especially in hip hop. Artists are selling their catalogs and they're taking millions of dollars right now for their catalog, saying, "Oh, I'll never recoup that." But we know that if somebody's willing to pay you millions of dollars and they got millions of dollars to buy it, they have an idea on how they're going to make triple, quadruple, 10 times the amount. And if
Right.
you're going to sell that after you see artists like her struggling, and you got to pay, taxes are going to come. You're going to hit that 40% tax on that deal,
Right.
and whatever other bills you got or whatever. You're burning the dollars. You're burning your Social Security, which is your publishing and your
Yeah.
copyrights,
Your own personal Social Security, correct?
your own personal Social Security. You're taking that up front, and I guarantee you, your lifestyle and those people who are leeching off of you, they're going to burn through that money, and you'll have nothing on the back end to go back and get.
I was going to say, I don't think R&B is dead by no stretch of the imagination. To Rodney's point, people are always looking for good music, and R&B is good music. The stuff that we are so familiar with now, especially on the airwaves, it's a lot of trash. It's a whole lot of trash. We had that conversation last night in the studio. We were talking about just how the world has changed. There was a up and coming. Well, she's not up and coming. She's actually well established now. Hip hop artist that performed here just the other night, and one of their brothers was like, "I was at the show, but I left, man. It was not a place I wanted to be at all." And I can dig it. You know what I'm saying? Because again, a lot of this stuff now, it's just straight trash, man. It's gutter.
What's crazy about the music though for me is that when you hear, when Nelly came out with Tip Drill and all of the picketing and the rioting about misogyny and misandry, and then you say, well, damn, now that you took the brothers away and y'all sisters are taking it to a whole nother ratchet, deplorable level. I see people who you would think are well-intended, principled, well-mannered people. They love that rap. I guess me calling you a bitch is the problem. But if you calling yourself a bitch, it's okay. I get it.
Look, man, there was this whole mantra of, pretty girls like trap music. I'm like, what? That crap is horrible. And, this whole now the movement toward stripper music, because that's what it is. It's stripper music. Most of the stuff is stripper music. It's straight strip club music. And it is.
I'll be right back. I got my brother here. He fixing
Right, I got. It's like I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know where they're going. It does not move me in any way, shape, or form. Seriously, I'm like, and again, maybe I'm too old. I'm 50 now. I got to recognize that with age and maturity, your tastes change, and hopefully I've adapted to those things, and I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? Didn't want to say this in the absence of Thomas, but we'll continue without him. Rodney, did you see that the Panamanians have bought some combat aircraft? It's the first time they've invested in their military with respect to combat aircraft in decades because they are unsure of the security that they have enjoyed by the Americans. This move, not this move, the moves from this administration, the ripples are far and wide. Far and wide. It's not just the tariffs. It's not just the proposal of 200% tariff on alcoholic beverages coming into the country from other countries. It's not just the 50% charge on steel and it's not just that. It's a bit of everything. It's disheartening when you read and find out that the United States of America has been added to the list of countries that the world views as being inhumane. as being unjust, as being a danger to other countries' citizens because of the political instability, because we now are being run by someone whom is on a revenge tour. And during that tour, he does not care who gets burnt as long as he feels that he's gotten his up and comings, as he's gotten his evens. And because of that, thousands of Americans will suffer. Potentially millions of Americans will suffer. The U.S. Postal Service, which is not a governmental entity, by the way, the U.S. Postal Service has agreed to cut 10,000 employees. Dog, they were already understaffed. They were already understaffed. They're already bleeding. And they're bleeding because the Republican Congress told them that they had to put money into their retirement account and fully fund it before they do anything else.
The Republicans owe them billions. See, that's the cold part about it. The postal service, they had money.
Yeah, absolutely.
They kept borrowing against their money. And it's almost like somebody borrowing $1 million from you and said, hey, now before I give you your million back, you need to not only find that million and 3 more million. You owe me. You shouldn't be give me what you owe me.
Right.
So I can fund whatever I need. And matter of fact, when you borrow money, you should be giving me my money back with interest.
Right.
That's what you should be doing. And so to me, I feel like we're dealing. See, here's the cold part about it. This is why I blame the American people. Is that we have been operating from this idea of voting to hurt other people versus helping ourselves. And I'm saying this from a collective standpoint.
Right.
Both parties do a poor job of really asking, how do we forge ahead collectively, right? And what I see what's happening with these services, I'm looking at them saying, oh, you're taking jobs away from people that you know, if they're working these jobs, they could also donate to the opposing party to oust you. So I'm going to cut these jobs so that the people that will donate to campaigns could never donate to a campaign. And by the way, I got all of the social media guys that everybody's hooked to on their phone. We know you're hooked on this drug, this dopamine drug. I own all of the major publication pieces. And I also got the 24-hour news cycle. Hey, they all catering to me too. So why would I give you a chance to get up? And this is really trying to stump on the American public while our backs are turned. But people have to wake up, because these jobs, 10,000 here, 6,000 there, 15,000 there. When you start doing that and you start chipping away at the populace, sooner or later, you're going to have all of this angst, right? And what I think that they want to do, I do believe that they want to provoke a civil war. So
martial
they
law.
have the right to use martial law.
Martial law.
To move people down. Because when you have a president talking at the Department of Justice about persecution, he used the word persecution in his speech yesterday. This isn't something that someone else said that he's doing. He's saying that he will persecute. And he's going after his political enemies right in the public. It's something that we have to really think about as a public. And one last piece. I believe that the post office is just like everything else. They just want to corporatize it. And who has the money to buy it? All of the oligarchs that's standing behind him. And I feel like that's what the American public should be the most outraged of.
But remember, mail-in ballots are legal in some states. So if you take away the postal service, and you're looking at states that have a whole lot of outlying precincts, then you cut away, you chop away at that voting freedom and that voting power. Rodney, any thoughts before I talk about going down to Selma?
And I think you guys pretty much covered it. It's just not a good situation to be in general. And what Brother Barry said about the American people, there's truth to that. But the American people have been led to be the way that they are, and it's just hurting us, and it's going to continue to hurt us. But at some point, these hurts, these injuries, these injustices become untenable, and there's no coming back from it. And I think that we're looking too short term, and we're not looking long term.
Gotcha. So I'll talk about my trip down to Selma before we get into Ukraine and the continual resolution that was passed this week. So I went down to Selma on Sunday. Well, that's not true. But yeah, I went down to Selma on Sunday because I was in Montgomery. So I did go down. I went to Selma on Sunday for the reenactment of the crossing of the Edmund Pettus Bridge. First off, every black person from MSNBC was there. I did not see Joy Reid, though. I did not see her. But all the other contributors were there. The sister with the locks, the little skinny sister with the locks, the light-skinned one, I can't remember her name. Dr. somebody or another. She's a professor. I know that for sure. She's tall. I did not know she was that daggone tall. I was walking. I was like, God dang, sis.
You talking about Melissa Harris Perry?
No, the other one. The other light-skinned sister with the locks. She is tall. I mean, tall. She was like 6'2", 6'1", something. She's tall. But anyhow, anybody and everybody else were on that daggone. They were there, so it was just, that was crazy. But it was somber for me, I guess. And I say that because here we are 60 years later, still talking about the same stuff. Still having almost the exact same conversation. And I'm looking at the officers that were charged with guarding or providing security, and most of them were black. And I was like, oh, now that's different. I wanted to get one by themselves, and I couldn't because I dang sure wanted to ask them how they felt about the situation and its entirety. And again, I couldn't, so I let that be. But it was definitely a brilliant day, meaning that the rain stayed away long enough for everything to happen without, folks getting wet up. I posted pictures. I don't know if I posted them on the show's page, but I know I posted them. If I didn't put them on the show's page, I will put them on the show's page. It was, I'm trying to find the sister as we're talking, and I can't find her right now. It was good to see so many people that come out. It was very well represented. Not only D9, community organizations, the sisters and the brothers of the light were there. That was good. Got to actually interact with Dr. King's son. Got to interact with him for a brief moment. That was good. Some of folks whom were there then were there then. They were there on Sunday as well. They were carted. Well, say carted like they were dead. They weren't dead. They were, most of them were in wheelchairs though, so they were brought over on their wheelchairs and stuff like that. So that was cool to see. But again, it was sad because 60 years have passed and we're still having the same conversation, still discussing many of the same daggone issues. The only difference is today we enjoy a degree more of freedom as than we did then. Outside of our community. Outside of our community.
You think so?
Yeah. I said
I
a
think
degree.
I think we're less free.
I said a degree outside.
No, I think we're more. Here's the thing. I think that some things are more outright upfront as far as our liberties, right? Like you don't really have to worry about, going to the back and, sitting in the back, etc. But I do notice that people do just black folks just sit in the back in general, and I'm still trying to figure that out.
I do. I know I do. I'm guilty.
But not just us, even folks when I see us come from the continent, like continental black folks sit in the back too. And I'm almost wondering, is this like a subconscious thing that we feel like white folks should be up front, right? Just figuring out some stuff. But the other thing too is I feel like we're losing more of the liberties that we would have in our day-to-day lives. And I feel like we're too overly connected, compared to what they were. And I feel like the food was better, the air was better, the water quality was better. Like even being able having the right to decency was better. Like, a man could get a fair wage for a fair day of work and being able to at least put a roof over the head of his family. We got so many homeless people now that it's hard to say we're doing better. I think it's just more. What I think is better, Rodney? 4K. I think 4K is better. I think the picture quality is a lot better. I think high definition. We got better quality of TV, right? We got satellite radio. That might be the technology is better. But when you think about the Patriot Act, and you think about No Child Left Behind, and you think about Project 2025, and you think about all of these things that we're being hit with in a barrage of things, it's hard to really say. And I know we're not being called niggers, porch monkeys. I know that we're not being hosed. I know we're not being beat. But to me, it still feels as if even though your boot is not on my neck, your boot is still on my neck. Because we have a president here who, by every intents and purposes, is telling us that he's about to take everything. And look at how we're responding. And I know we could always add it to ignorance, but I think a lot of it is more fear. And it's hard to say that things are better when you have a fearful populace. Because people back then, they risked those dogs. They risked those water hoses. They understood who they were. And I don't think people today, as Rodney stated earlier, when he corrected my point, people were led that way. And I don't know if it's better if you can't account for your situation. If you can't access your situation, how better are you when you're being led to slaughter?
Maya Wiley is the sister's name.
Oh, that's the sister ran for mayor in New York.
Yeah.
Fact, her father, I believe, was a famous, I want to say, civil rights lawyer.
Yeah. Maya Wiley. She tall. I was like, wow. I had no idea that sister was that daggone tall.
Tall and slim, right?
Yeah. Tall and slim. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. I knew I'd find her. She shucks. She stands out. She, literally and figuratively. But anyhow, I see what you're saying, but I'm driving down those roads, right? And I realized that I had never been to Selma before. Now I've been on the road leading to Selma. We'll leave that at that. But I was stationed in Montgomery for 3 years. Just saying, I was on that road a couple times, and but I never continued on. I went to the airport and everything. Actually, Montgomery's airport is not that far from Selma. But I just never continued down the entirety of the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's neither here nor there. I'm looking at areas that have been ghosted. Like, it looked like a whole community. It was all overgrown. Signs said private property. I mean, I'm like, what the hell? Like, what did that used to be? I don't know if it was a housing project, an apartment complex. I don't know what the heck it was. It may have been a subdivision at one point, but it was all overgrown and stuff. And I'm looking at stores that dilapidated, literally caving in on themselves. I'm like, God dang, that, like, for real? I continued to drive until I came upon the bridge, and I saw a lot of charter buses. I was like, okay, looks like it's a decent amount of people. Man, I saw that sea of people coming up off that bridge. I was like, yeah, there's a whole lot of people out this monster, you know. But it was cool, you know. No one complained, moan, groan, gripe, nothing. It was a very good scene to see. I saw later there were some other celebrities that were there, and they were posting pictures. I know CeeLo Green was there; he posted a picture from the bridge and all that type jazz, specifically. But be that as it may, I hope that my for my grandchildren's sake and their children's children, potentially, at least their children, if not their children's children, we're not still having the same conversations in their time. You know, I don't see me making another 60 years out of this life, and that's okay. If I get another 30, 40, I'll be fine with that. And hopefully in that time, again, my grandchildren will have children. And at that point, maybe we'll get over this daggone hump. You know, I'm tired of singing and hearing "We shall overcome." Shit, why ain't we overcame by now? You know, there needs to be a serious discussion in this country about that reconciliation, and it cannot be, in my opinion, until we have a serious discussion about reparations and the repayment of some sort for the effort and labor that the enslaved African put into building our nation. Rodney, you shook your head no. What's up?
I mean, in general, we're better off. I was thinking about you talking about your grandchildren. I was just thinking, man, I don't know if I want any great grandchildren. I don't know
Wow.
if I want any more grandchildren,
Wow.
because why would I want to bring them into this hell if we're not going to do the right thing to make it a better place for them, like the people who originally marched on the Edmund Pettus Bridge? Then if we today are not willing to sacrifice like those people who came before us, first of all, that's a disgrace to them. It's an embarrassment to us as a nation of people, if we are a nation of people. But why would I want my children to my progeny to suffer?
Mm-hmm.
Because at in the trajectory that we're going, we're talking about something worse than Jim Crow. And remember, I lived through Jim Crow, and I lived in the South during Jim Crow. And I'm telling you that what we are about to allow to happen to our children with the help of the Democrats presently is something worse than Jim Crow. So now I do believe we have made strides. As much as things have changed, there's been some things that have stayed the same, but we have made strides. And at the gathering last night, what I heard one of the gentlemen say that's doing quite well economically was that he wasn't willing to protest and do some things that would cause him to lose his economic status.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, so they allowed a few black people to make it enough to say, I won't do what has been proven to work to make things better for those who came after me, like those who came before me, to give me this wonderful lifestyle. And that is the problem. Now, I don't begrudge anybody for having a good lifestyle. I live decently. But what I do think is, because we have a little something more, that we have become complacent and complicit in the destruction of our people presently, and guaranteeing that our progeny have to suffer. And that's what I cannot stomach. As a matter of fact, because I have it and I've had a taste of it, I want more of us to have it. So whatever I can do as a matter of fact, for us older people, even though I think it's more of a young person's battle, heck, most of my life is behind me. So if I check out because I'm doing something to ensure that those who come next get a chance to live the years like I've lived, then maybe I didn't need those extra years because I had plenty of good ones. So I just think that our focus is is where it's been engineered to be, and we need to break that, and we need to break it now.
Yeah, I think that that's the cold part about it, right? Saying that we're celebrating these ancestors, but not building on the legacy. That's the disrespectful part. See, that we think that is admiration, but it's disrespect. It's totally disrespect. And we don't understand how we've gotten intertwined into this. But a lot of it is because we've succumbed to this European selfishness model. And who cares about how many vacations you can take? How many houses you can flip? How many degrees you can amass? If we're in communities that are in shambles and we don't even know how to get the morality checked in our community, right? Not the simple things, but the concrete, this is what hold us tight. You can't violate this. We don't even know how to uphold that. And we're dealing with people who are pretty much saying, have it your way. You know, the T.I. song, you can have whatever you like. Yeah, you can have whatever you like, but I'm going to take your liberties in the process of you having whatever you like. There's no accident in the correlation at the time when we are talking about legalizing marijuana. They're taking all your liberties. And we still have people that's fighting to own marijuana farms and not understanding that you better try to find some food. Farming marijuana. You're not seeing what they're doing with the food supply. So you're going to take farmland and you're going to try to make cannabis because in your ideas about get rich or die trying, you about to die trying. And you don't want to farm food because you can't pivot to say, wait a minute. Okay, this is what's really in front of me. Not this Willy Wonka idea that you're about to have a chocolate factory and everything you can have, whatever you like. No, these are the necessities. We are living in food deserts. I understand why the NAACP said no to the protest at Target, because it does make sense when you have elders who live in situations where they don't know where they're going to get their medication. And CVS does cost more than Walgreens, and it does cost more than Target. And so you have elders who are living on a fixed income. And so when you do boycott and you tell people, say, hey, you can get the essentials. Well, I might be in Target getting the essentials, and somebody might be just going by just to see who's in there. And I'm an elder. That conversation can go away, that can go wrong. And people just don't want to go. So I understand some of the things. The main thing is that we're not trying to get our own, though. And when we do have the access to get our own to give back, we don't. That's the way to celebrate the ancestors. You celebrate what they're doing by pitching it forward. As Rodney said, hey, his better days are behind him, but if I die trying to help, well, we need a lot more people, whether it's his age or 40 years back, 30 years back, 20 years back, feeling that way. Even if we can get our 10-year-olds thinking about those 10-year-olds that will be coming 10 years after them. That's the way that we should be setting our tone, right? But it's the embeddedness. And it almost reminds me of the 90s when I used to watch sports television. And it used to be a conversation about the athletes and athletes having social responsibility. And the reporters will always say, well, why should they speak up for those kids in the ghetto? Why do they have to give money back? What's the requisite of that? Larry Bird doesn't have to do it. Why does Jordan have to do it? Why must Charles Barkley do it? Why must they speak out? And I feel like a lot of the Black elite class is the same way. When they get back, Brother Rodney, it's pageantry. When they do make you live right there in Vegas. You have one of the most well-renowned boxers of all time who brags about how much money he makes. Here you are passing out tons of food to the people who live in the background of the city where he stays. Why are you passing out that food when he can go fly to Saudi Arabia, spend $2 million, hop back on the plane and don't think twice? Why can't he be the one passing out the food? He's much younger than you. He has more resources than you. He has more wealth. That's what he tells everybody. Why don't he care? Oh, because he's too busy trying to be like Donald J. Trump. That's the reason why. And he openly tells you. He doesn't give two F's about the people. He don't. And that's the mentality, I feel, Brother Lee, that a lot of our folks share. It's even, they can go touch the base of the bridge, they can go kiss the rock. But once they go back home, the spirit ain't traveling with them. The photos there. The photos, right? The photos there. It's on Instagram. It's on Facebook. But the spirit of the sacrifice does not transfer with that person. And I feel like that is our largest struggle collectively as a people.
You know, Brother Barry, it's one of those things where I often think back to, and I've given this quote before on the show when I interviewed Dr. Dorothy Height, me and Sister Angela, and when we asked a question about the civil rights movement and her participation in it, contributions to it, and she said that she was glad that the civil rights movement happened back in her day, and that puzzled me. So I asked a follow-up question and says, well, why do you feel that way? And she says, because she didn't think the people today had it in them and would sacrifice like the people of her time. And that's what we're seeing right now is people not being willing to sacrifice. And without sacrifice, when you're an oppressed people, there is no up for you. You have to be willing to sacrifice. Somebody has to be willing to sacrifice. Those people back then had little, but were willing to sacrifice all so that we could have more than them. We have more resources than them, financial and otherwise, but yet we're not willing to sacrifice a fraction to make it better for those who come next. And that is a real problem. Food insecurity is only going to get worse. When those tariffs kick in and we get most of our produce from Mexico and Mexico decides not to sell it to us, or because of the tariffs, the price is so high that it makes it even more unaffordable to us. I mean, the scarcity of food. And when you talked about marijuana, man, I said that from the beginning, and it's so good to hear you say it from a different generation, because marijuana is going to make you feel good, right? So
but it don't fill up your belly.
But what it does is you can withstand more oppression when you're not in your right mind. Is when you're token, right? It feels good. So all that oppression that's being pushed your way, I'm gonna get through it. Well, the more oppression that you have, the more escape that you want. So the more demand you have on the product. But then what is it doing to us once again as a nation of people? It's weakening us. And we also know the effects that marijuana has on the minds of young people and their memory and cognition, ability to learn. So they set up a Faustian bargain. We'll legalize marijuana and we'll even help you all produce marijuana to sell to yourselves so a few of you can make a lot of money, but at the same time, so we could poison and debilitate the masses and especially the children, because if we can take away from them as children, we don't have to worry about them as adults. So I was for the legalization of marijuana, but it came with a warning, is that, yes, they are giving us the bomb to hold into our own hands. They're giving us the gun to turn to our own heads. Now, what we should do is turn that gun against them, but instead, we're holding it to our own head.
I can't remember any of that. Not that I smoke weed or nothing like that. I'm just saying. The monies that the states are raking in, whom have legalized marijuana, is incredible. You know, it's definitely filling in the gaps for any deficits that they may have had.
No,
Now,
it's not. No, it's not.
Colorado is one. Colorado is doing very well economically.
One of the things that a false promise was how much it was going to help education.
Okay.
Just like with the lottery system. See, I remember when we got the lottery in New York, they said that money was going to education and how much it was going to improve education. Right here in Nevada, how much money was going to come in and how much it was going to help education.
From the casino?
No, marijuana.
Okay, gotcha.
Didn't happen. As a matter of fact, they took the money and they used it for other things, used a small fraction, if any, for education, and our education is even worse now. So now the education is worse and more people are high, and more children are suffering from the effects of their parents toking up the house, right? So again, that's another false choice. They hung something in front of us that looked good that we went to grab, and when we reached to grab it, we didn't realize, hey, we're falling off the cliff. We just jumped off the ledge, and to grab that joint as we're falling down, we're token up and feeling good as we're falling, but we're still falling. So these we have to be very careful when they offer us monetary gain for things that should have been fixed already. Because if they didn't fix it before, why do we think they're going to fix it with more money? To something Brother Barry said earlier, more money. If we're getting a little bit more, that means they're getting a heck of a lot more, and it simply doesn't balance out. We come up the losers, and in this, we are the losers. Black people are the losers.
Okay. Did you have anything to add, Thomas, before we moved on to the CR?
No, I want to talk about Punk Schumer. Let's talk.
Okay. So, to your point, Schumer came out on Thursday and said that he would he would vote in favor of the CR, continual resolution. Now, let me tell you what this is all about. Schumer said that the CR is a bad idea, but as bad of an idea as it is, he believed that allowing President Trump to take even much more power via the government shutdown is a far worse option. The vote was 54-46, with 2 Democrats joining, all but 1 Republican. The Democrats that voted for the final bill were Jan Shaheen of New Hampshire and Angus King of Maine. Rand Paul voted against the measure. The CR continues funding at its current levels with a slight uptick in military spending and $13 billion cut in domestic non-defense spending. Now, what does that mean? Domestic. Think about, put your thinking caps on, ladies and gentlemen. Domestic non-defense spending. Does that mean Medicare and Social Security? Because Elon Musk has clearly said that the biggest drain on the federal deficit is our entitlement programs, and that needs to be tackled next. So is it more job cuts or is it more entitlement programs? And I think that's what they're going to put in front of the American people next. So you want your job, that means you got to cut your entitlements. I think that's how they're going to come. I think that's how they're going to come.
I think that they're just going to cut jobs. I think one of the things that and I want to say this about Punk Schumer, and I mean this wholeheartedly. I think one of our biggest mistakes is thinking that somehow the Democrats are duped into certain things, or somehow they're not a part of it. Reality of it is there are those who are in the party who may not be a part of it, but there's enough of them that are a part of it. And that's always been the issue. And I told you guys when Ken Martin got selected to be the head of the DNC, because this is a DNC issue. See, when you can't find a leader of the party, and I want the public out there to take notes. When Donald Trump lost, did he not stay and remain the leader of the Republican Party? Yes or no? Where's Kamala Harris?
Yeah,
See, technically, she's still supposed to be the leader because there is no election up yet. We haven't picked who's running next. So she's supposed to be the face. And then she's also supposed to be having the ability to call the shots on what you're supposed to do. She's still supposed to be quarterbacking the play. But where she's at, and I want people to really understand when people say, oh, yeah, these folks are selected. She's not calling the play, not because she doesn't want to. I'm not going to put it on her to say she does not want to call the play. I don't believe that they're allowing her to call the play. So let's start there. But when you allow the people, the members of the House to vote against the bill, and you say, hey, we got a handshake agreement, we're going to tote this line. To go against that makes you a true political Benedict Arnold. And then to say, well, I'm worried about the shutdown. Hey, they're taking everything away. His speech yesterday at DOJ, that should let you know exactly who you're dealing with. And this is why you don't make deals with the devil, period. You allow him to do it. And what you tell the American people, you look right in the camera and you say, elections have consequences.
Yep.
Whether we voted for him or not, whether they stole it or not, there's things in this country that we must correct. We're not going to allow this man to become king. And even though they have the ability, and I would just read the names of everybody who voted for it, whether it's in the House, it's in the Senate. And I would say, I don't never want you to forget these names, because when we oust him, they have to go too. The idea of making America great again. No, make America better than ever should be their slogan. Not great again, better than ever. Tell the people the truth on why America never was great to begin with on the social experiment. Tell people the truth. Lay it down. And I feel like that's the problem with the Democratic side of it all. They somehow, some way want to bask in their half-ass governance. See, the idea is you're going to just run on what they ain't going to do. Run on what you're going to do. Tell the people how you're going to make it better. No, tell them why they are wrong. Tell them about Elon and all of the money. But also make this point. He called Chuck Schumer a Palestinian this week. First thing is that the ADL was upset with Kyrie because he said Jesus was black. And they said if you say anything bad about a Jewish person, that make you anti-Semitic. I did not see the ADL say one word about Donald Trump calling Chuck Schumer a Palestinian. He said he was once a Jew, now he's just a Palestinian. What does that mean? The other part, which I think is very important, is why won't nobody just pretty much and say this is a Nazi brigade? That's what they're saying in Germany. That's what they're saying inside of the UK. Why don't you come out and ask the American people and tug on the consciousness of the people and say, do you want to be up under a Nazi regime? Yes or no? This is who Elon Musk is. This is where his family, this is his lineage. This is Donald J. Trump is. This is who Vance is. Let's own the fact. Why they want to get rid of the FBI. The FBI was warning of what? White supremacists doing what? Embedding themselves into the military, police forces, and government. It's a reason why they're wiping all of this out. And Lee and Rodney, I don't feel like the American people are really going to hear it until they hear the true extreme jargon for what it is. Donald Trump idolized Hitler. This is why he's taking all of the plays out of his playbook. That Tesla car, Elon, gives him his own Nazi mobile, a 21st century Nazi mobile. It is what it is. And I feel like until we start saying what it is,
I don't think the American people are going to be able to fight this. And I think the Democratic Party is going to find themselves wiped out, because if Donald Trump get his way, it's only going to be one party, and it's his until he dies.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Ronnie.
So this goes back to the sacrifice thing. And I understand why Chuck Schumer said what he said and even did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And if this was 10, 20 years ago, I would be right there with him. But Brother Barry said something that I think needs to be foot stomped, though he articulated it quite well. We're heading towards fascism, and we're in fascism. The interesting thing about 45 being on the lawn with his Tesla is there's another dictator that did the same thing, and that was Adolf Hitler. So sold the car very similarly to how 45 just did it. It's almost like their footprints in the sand. And the direction that these footprints are going is to a 21st century Nazi Germany, but it's America. And he is putting his foot in each one of those prints, i.e. the Madison Square Garden event. And we can name so many more. And he's heading there. We can see that that's the direction that they're going. And for some reason, Chuck Schumer turned into Neville Chamberlain and decided to appease the modern day Hitler. Well, we know from history that appeasement didn't work, never has worked. And if you let the bully take your milk, he's going to take your cookie, and before you know it, has your whole tray. And then when you bring your bag lunch, take that. When your mom give you 35 cents, because that's what it used to be, you're going to take that too.
Hold on, 35 cents. Thomas, when the hell was less 35 cents?
I mean, that was back at school. I remember going to school. It was 35 cents. It was 25 cents. It was 25 cents to eat lunch.
Wow.
But the point is that once you give it, so now when in 6 months, and the bill comes up again, right?
Yep, 6 months, September.
And so Schumer is going to rattle and say, we're not going to do it if you don't do thus and so. He has no credibility. None. Because he caved this time. It was a game of chicken, and he blinked or he swerved, whatever analogy you want to use. So the next game of chicken, maybe they'll just crash into you if you decide that this time you're not going to blink, but you lost your leverage. And just like
it's going to be worse at that point. Well, it's going to be even worse at that point because that's on the heels of Christmas. So that's going to be even worse.
Well, it's more pressure not to shut down. So the odds go against the Democrats. The odds go against Schumer. So I think what needs to happen is people like AOC, though I don't agree with her in some areas, people like AOC, Ayanna Pressley, who's been somewhat quiet lately, and Jasmine Crockett need to assert themselves. They need to build a bigger coalition within the party. They need to become bigger influences for the community at large. And since the Democrats doesn't seem to want to give them more say and train them, then they're going to have to do what young people have done from time immemorial, and that is just be like the bull and bull their way through. You won't give it to us. You won't train us. We want the experience, but you're not giving us the experience, and you're selling the farm. And if no farm, there's no me. So I'm going to be the bull, and I'm going to go and take it. And so, that's what they need to do. They need to push through, and we need to help them, because Chuck Schumer made Hakeem Jeffries look weak and foolish.
Very, very much so.
That is huge. That's the people's house. That's the strength. That's the power, right? That's the representation of the people. And he took that representation away from them. And so the next time that Hakeem tries to put the brakes on him, they'll just ignore him because they know that Schumer will cave into him. He needs to be primary.
And you know what the cold game about it is perception in this country, right? The perception is because of politics and race, you can't check Schumer the way he need to be checked if you're Hakeem. The voices that I'm shocked of that I'm not hearing though, and I think Trump pulling security details off of former administrative people is the reason why we're not hearing. But we do have 3 former presidents that are still alive. And I haven't heard a word from Obama. I have not heard a word from Bill Clinton, who always has his nose and mouth in everybody else's business. And I haven't heard one word from George W. Bush. Now, he's dumbing in a box of bricks, but I haven't heard anything from him.
4, don't forget Biden.
Oh, and Biden. Well, Biden is, here's the thing with Biden. What can Biden say? Biden knows that at any moment that they can send a hit squad for him and his family. Like this dude has it out for Biden beat him. He has it out for Biden. Biden beat him. And if he's not showing you how vengeful he is, Biden's the one to beat him. Everybody else outside of Obama, he's mad at Obama for being president, for being black. But people should still speak up. And I'm going to go back and say it again. If Chuck Schumer cannot talk, we got 24 hours on the clock, 48 hours on the clock. Where's Ken Martin? Where's the new head of the DNC? What is the direction of the DNC? What is the messaging? What is the messaging behind the scenes? Those are the things that I'm paying attention to, because typically they would reverberate so quick and say, hey, this is what's going on here. Hey. Now listen, or hey, we understand why Chuck did. We called Chuck in the middle of the night, told him he had to take the bullet this why. Somebody falls on the sword somewhere. But to not see or hear anything, it does look like disarray. And the 10 votes, this goes back to the 10 votes, y'all. The 10 votes to censor Rep. Green. The Democrats keep showing that they are not team players. And I said this when Pelosi was in charge of the House and she went after the CBC. They have a history of eating their own and not fighting the Republicans. But they need to fight the Republicans. And if Ken Martin, if this is your show and tell, Ken, as I said to you all about here in the DFL here, and the slim margin that they won, they didn't even really win the Senate or the House. They still have they had 2 battles that are in court. But I think it's a margin of 1 in the Senate, and I think it's tied in the House. And it flips as the court battles go on. What would make you think that he can go on a national scale and win this thing for you if he can't do it in a blue state already, if he can't win it in his own backyard? So,
but then we already have that conversation though. Isn't that a situation where they are so in tune to the others that they are not focused on what needs to happen? Because he represents the others, they are not in tune to what needs to happen. But in this case, he is a white male. So is that not the answer to that question?
You know, Lee,
go ahead, Rodney.
I think part of the answer to the question is the people. And it's the answer, and at the same time, it's the injury. But it is the people. We have 2 parties in this country. And so the Democrats, under Chuck Schumer's leadership, is that things will be so bad that the people won't continue to vote for 45, assuming we even have elections and that they're fair, because Russia has elections too, but we know that they're not fair. But right. Their betting is that things will be so bad, and because they had no part in it, even though they did pass this resolution, but suppose that they had no part in it, that the country will naturally, go back to the Democrats.
Migrate back to them, right?
Well, in this past election showed that that's not true. Now, we don't know. There's some possibilities there was some cheating, but I don't know even with the cheating if the Democrats still would have won, because so many Democrats that voted previously or simply didn't vote this time. And that's what I'm focused on. Mm-hmm. It's not that, we said you have to shore up your base. Everything that 45 is doing is shoring up his base. He don't care how much it hurts the Democrats, the liberals, the this, the that, the other, the blacks. as long as it shores up his base, because they show up for him.
Hmm.
Look, if I'm having a gang fight, I need to know that my people are going to be there, right?
Yeah, true that.
The Republicans, the red, because we're going to take it to red and blue, they know that their people are going to be there no matter what, no matter how crazy it is, right? The Democrats, ask Hakeem Jeffries, does he know that the Democrats are going to be there for him? He just saw the senators take 2 steps back and leave him in the open exposed, right? So when people see the weakness of the Democrats, because people are animals and animals do gravitate to strength, and what they see in the Democrats is weakness. Remember what Mike Tyson used to say? He said they talk all kinds of big talk before they get hit in the mouth, right? And that first punch in the mouth, all of a sudden, they're quiet as a mouse. So that's what the Democrats look like right now. And so people don't believe them. And people need hope. The Democrats dash that hope. So it's not in the party. To your point earlier, there's going to have to be someone that comes up out of the ashes, the phoenix, so to speak, that comes up that can articulate what the country is feeling, what's happened to the country, how the country needs to move forward, and their plan to move the country forward, that can build a coalition of disaffected Republicans, because they are out there, bring those independents / nonpartisans in, and then enough of them to sway the Democrats that I'm your strength. That's what 45 said. 45 basically said, I'm your redeemer, right? Because he says, I'm going to be your retribution. And what did he talk about at the DOJ? He talked about his retribution on those who are his political enemies. Well, remember, he ran on, hey, they're persecuting me as a political enemy. But we all know that was projection and deflection, because either whatever he says someone is doing to him, either he's done it, he's doing it, or he's about to do it. And 100%. That's where we find ourselves in the meeting, that speech with the DOJ.
100%, 100%. And to me, that's really what it boils down to. It boils down to the people, and it also boils down to it have to be an organic thing. You're out of these fixes, and also you're out of compromise, because the margins are gone. So when the margins are gone, you can't compromise anymore. So what you have to do is you have to be up against it, and it's going to take some losses. So to say, hey, this shutdown is going to affect this, that, and the other, you look right in the camera and you let people know what time it is. Elections have consequences. This is what you voted for. Here are the consequences. Yes, we see people online. We see people on TV saying that they voted for him and they didn't know he was going to go this far. You have to pay that consequence for your choice. We have to endure this. And you have to tell people that, no, I'm sorry. Your grandmother, who's 95 years old, who voted for him, if she lose her Medicaid or Medicare, that's on her.
That was her choice.
That was her choice, and it impacted the country. And we have to hold people to that, y'all.
So something else I'm thinking about, Rodney, as you spoke earlier about him losing his ground, it came to me as well. If this comes up again, because Hakeem was pushing for a 30-day extension to have bipartisan time to work out something better deal. With him signing on, with him giving cover and allowing the Democrats to sign on to this, even though it was just 2 to sign on to this, they put it at a 6 months continuous resolution. So if this comes up again, and they do show stones, let's just say they do show stones, right? And put up and say, you know what, nah, bump it. We just can't. We can't. The problem with that is it's right before the midterms. It's right before the midterms. And everyone will remember that hurt, because that hurt happened right before Christmas. Again, had they stood tall and firm this go around, yes, it would have hurt, but that hurt you would have had some time to adjust for it.
But you have
your point, Brother Barry.
Yeah, the flank.
Stand in front of the camera. Yeah, you stand in the camera and you say elections have consequences, and this is the consequence for the American people's choice. Not every American, but for those who voted for him, this is the consequence of that election. For those of you who stood home when we pleaded with you to come out and vote to stop things like this is the consequence of your inactivity. We apologize, but your government, the one that was selected by the majority of people in this nation and the Electoral College, is going in this direction, and there's very little that we can do about it.
So this is what I would do, Lee. I would outline what he's going to do before he do it. That's it. I would paint the picture of what he's going to do.
Right.
I would paint the picture of what Elon's going to do. I would paint the picture of what the Senate's going to do and what the Republican Congress is going to do. And I would tell the American people, you chose this.
Right.
If Christmas is canceled for your child, you cancel Christmas.
Yep.
If your child cannot go off to college and have to be on your couch, you chose it. If you find your liberties being violated in your civic ways of life, you chose it. If you like the latest TikTok dance, but you know nothing about politics, you chose it. You have to lay it out. And I think that's part of the problem. Being scared to tell people. You know, when I used to sell door-to-door candy as a kid, one of the things they taught me when they train you to sell, they say, you go to the door, you got your crate. You put your crate down if you see a kid. And the reason why you put the crate down, because if you're carrying the crate and it's up too high, the kid can't see what's in the crate. But if you're reading your script and you set that crate down, kids are going to walk up to the crate. They had this coloring mat, and then they had these animal crackers. They didn't really want us to sell that. They really wanted us to sell the chocolate turtles and the mints and all that fancy chocolate, right? But they said, hey, if the kids say he want the coloring mat and he want them animal crackers, oh, you got the parent. You got the parent. That's how you have to go at this. Oh, no. This is about your kid's future. And I'll leave one last point. My son, Rondé, is in law school. And he's at a point right now where he's supposed to be getting internships as well as externships. He's having a hard time. Well, he found one. But it took him a little longer than what he's supposed to. You know why? This DEI conversation. You know what else is going to hurt him? He's not in his last year. He's going into his last year next year. But when you get rid of the Department of Education, it's people like him that's going to be harmed. My daughter, Radiance, who's about to graduate from a high school as a 4-year honor roll student. She's taking college courses now inside of her community college while she's finishing up her high school diploma. It's going to harm her to be able to get the financial aid, the Pell grants and things of that nature, and as well as have that information process so she can get into school. My son, Raiden, who's trying to finish up his 4-year, it's going to harm him, right? But let's take them aside. What about the kids who can't afford school lunch? And then what are they saying? Oh, we're going to give you $5,000. See, the algorithm said that you like the $5,000. So they're going to give you $5,000, but they'll take at least about $500,000 in value away from you because they know you're going to brag about the $5,000, and then they hoping that that's going to get them on the midterm. The Democrats have to talk the way I'm talking. Get out of here. No disrespect to Jeffries. He need to let Crockett, AOC, let them talk. Just call the plays, brother. Just call the plays. You just call the plays, and you find yourself a better speaking brother somewhere in another district that you can get elected at midterm to let that person come on and light their ass up.
We got 5 minutes left.
But that's what they need. That's what the Democrats need. They need somebody who can actually talk the talk.
One of the things that they didn't do enough of is talk about the pain, the hurt that's coming with this CR. Is the CR does not come without pain. And they need to talk about that particular hurt that's coming with the CR.
I think that, not to defend Schumer, but he teed it up saying that his fear was that if they didn't enact it, didn't pass it, I'm telling you what he said. Again, not defending him, that there would be, period. Crockett is the quarterback right now. LaRonda, yes. I think I pronounced your first name right. Hopefully I did, sis. Thank you for joining us and thank you for your comment.
Oh, this is
So
LaRonda. What's up, LaRonda?
yeah. So he said that his fear was that Doge would come in and fire even more people, privatize even more positions, so on and so. Rodney, I agree. I'm just telling you what the man said. I agree with you.
Rodney, you know what his fear is, don't you, Rodney?
I think this should have been.
I think I know what the fear is. I don't think I think. See, I think this Epstein. I think this Epstein list is what everybody's scared of. No. Listen, when people start doing things that's out of whack, and you say, what is it? It's a personal consequence. And one last point: people are worried about their families because Trump is doing something that no other political person has ever done. He's putting your life on the line. When you say these things, your child, your wife, your mother, your sister, your whatever, and they will persecute you, and they'll say, "Hey, this is what Biden did to me." No matter whether he done it or not, he's already tried to come in with his built-in excuse. And Americans love drama, but he should have took the bill. He should have took the bullet, y'all. He should have went on ahead.
I agree. I totally agree. I think they should have stood firm. I think they should have shut the government down and let these folks really feel the pain of their decision, honestly. And then you would have seen Billy Bob and Mary Jo. Oh my God, my stamps got cut and my electricity's out and all that type jazz. And he was like, hey, well, fuck around and find out. There it is. You fucked around and found out. That's what it's about. What you got to say, Rodney, to end it out? We got 3 minutes.
The stock market is tanking, and there are going to be fluctuations. If the tariffs continue, there are going to be shortages. Food prices are going to be up, and the cost of almost everything else is going up with the tariffs. To build a home, to rent a place is going up because it's going to cost more because the lumber costs more. Because we won't get the best lumber that comes from Canada. The lumber that we get from America is not as good, doesn't last as long, and it costs more to get it. So what I'm saying is, and I've said it before, get some extra food, find out who you can partner with. If you don't have a pew-pew, get you one and get some ammo to make it go pew-pew, and find out who you can defend yours with. But prepare, and please look at history of Nazi Germany or Germany 1932 on to 1945 to learn and understand what we're going on so that we can combat it. Otherwise, be prepared for your children to live a life worse than your ancestors.
Brother Barry?
Couple up and combine. Lee, we're not on Blog Talk anymore anyway. It's not just gonna cut us off at 12.
I know.
But couple up and combine and make sure that you figure out ways that you can save money, whether it's doing bulk buying with family and friends, but cut down on the access dollars. If you are dating someone, y'all need to start thinking about moving in with each other so you can pay one rent versus two, pay one water bill versus two. If you can carpool, pay one car note, or pay one time at the gas pump or less times at the gas pump. This is the way to think. And one last point, which is very controversial because you are watching us right now, probably on a social media platform. Get off the platforms. Algorithms are going to kill the democracy. And we're going to have to figure out a life without the algorithms. What was life like for you before you rolled over and looked at your cell phone before you did anything else in the morning? You're going to have to remember that time, how healthy you were, how happy you were, how much freer you were. And that's what we're going to have to go back to. We cannot be a slave to the device, and we cannot be a slave to the fear neither.
Well, on that point, family, thank you all for listening live. Thank you for those who listening. You said we're not on Blog Talk anymore, but look, some habits are hard to break. Thank you all for tuning in this week. We'll catch you again next week. We'll have more hot topics and man, I'm telling you, this Southwest charging for bags is still getting me the most. I promise you. Out of all this stuff, it just killed my whole vibe. Look, y'all, if no one told you love you, we do, and ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Until next week, family.